Hola a todos, yo soy Bridget, soy de los Estados Unidos, me encantan los idiomas y ahora me estoy enfocando en español. En mi último video yo estuve en Londres, pero ahora ya he regresado a los Estados Unidos. Y en este video yo quiero hablar un poco sobre mis objetivos o mis metas con el español porque estoy pensando mucho en este tema recently y creo que necesito hacer algunas decisiones. Entonces me gustaría aprender o leer sus opiniones de este tema. Como he dicho en mi primer video en este canal, tengo un problema y mi problema es que me fascinan y encantan los idiomas, pero no hablo ningún con fluidez. Y eso es porque siempre aprendo un poco de algún idioma, pero de repente me interesa otro y siempre estoy spreading myself thin and never actually becoming fluent in anything. Por eso yo I created este canal para enfocarme en un idioma at a time, empezando con el español. Pero mi problema sigue siendo problema. Aunque me encanta el español y es el idioma de mi familia, de mi madre, de la mitad de mi familia, de mi madre. Todavía me interesan los otros idiomas. But like I said in my first video, I do not want to go and be tempted by those other languages until I finally reach the level that I want to with Spanish. The level that I want to reach is C1. But what is even C1? Like, what does that mean practically? When will I know that I've arrived at C1? I'm not there yet, I'm not even close, so I'm not saying that I'm done with Spanish. Not at all. As you can see, I switched to English because my Spanish is not great. But recently, I've been feeling sort of like I'm kind of aimless, that I want to learn Spanish and I'm learning Spanish here and there, but I have no way of really gauging my progress. I'm not in a school, I'm not in a class, I have no way of knowing that I've reached C1. And so my question for all of you is, do you think it's worth working towards the DELE exam? The DELE exam being the official Spanish language test. If I passed that, I would have a literal certificate saying, you passed level C1 in Spanish. What is your opinion on these types of exams, these official language tests? For the most part, I think a lot of people take these sort of official language tests when they have a goal in mind. Maybe it's working in a specific country or working at a specific job where a certain level of language is required, and then you can actually show that to your employer and say, look, here is proof that I am at the level that I say I am. But for someone like me who's just learning languages for the fun of it, I don't know if it's worth all of the effort that it would take to pass this exam, because you're not just learning Spanish, you're actually studying for a specific thing, which means doing a lot of studying and practice tests and actually paying for this huge exam and going and sitting and taking it. The result would be amazing to say I have officially achieved that level of the language. But again, it seems like a big deal and it's a really big thing to focus on. If I officially decide to focus on the DELE, that will change my whole trajectory of my Spanish learning process because I'm going to be working towards passing an exam. But maybe that's also what I need, is to have a set curriculum that I need to focus on and steps that I need to take, and one final big event that'll say, okay, case closed, you have achieved C1. I just hesitate, and this is why I would love to get your opinions on this. I hesitate because this means focusing on Spanish like a subject in school and treating it as such and preparing for a final exam, and it would put a lot of pressure on, grammar and vocabulary and etc., etc. As opposed to just, having fun with the language and immersing myself in any way that I see fit. I don't know which is better. I just feel, like I said, kind of aimless in this ocean of Spanish without a concrete goal. Aside from the DELE, C1, I don't know another concrete goal that I can work towards. Because I can learn Spanish day and night, but how will I ever be able to say officially that I'm at a certain level? I guess normal bilingual people, or trilingual or polyglots, don't necessarily need a certificate to say that they can communicate in a language, and communication is the key to language learning. And I don't aim to be completely fluent in any language, I just want to be able to communicate freely, and I'm not there yet with Spanish. So, sorry for that long rant, but I would love to know your opinion on whether you think it's worth it to aspire to pass the C1 DELE exam. Is that something that I should have as my focus? Or do you think there's another way to better structure my Spanish learning so that I can actually gauge progress and be able to say at the end of the day, hey, I'm C1. C1 in my mind being able to express myself completely comfortably no matter the subject. There may be some advanced words that I don't know, but for the most part I will be completely comfortable in any Spanish-speaking environment. Right now, I'd say I'm maybe B2, B1, B2, depending on what we're talking about. I still struggle with a lot of aspects of grammar. I'm missing lots of vocabulary, but for me, I get really easily distracted just generally in my mind and also by other languages. And so while I know that I need to work on the subjunctive, past tenses, etc., I don't actually find myself sitting down and focusing on that subject one at a time. I did for a little bit with subjunctive, which you may have seen in my previous videos, but just like that, I get distracted again. So maybe I need the structure of studying for an exam, or maybe what I actually need is to just join some class somewhere and do that for a while. I don't know. If it were you, would you try to take the DELE exam? I also wonder if that opens up a whole new, I don't know, can of worms, but if I try for the DELE in Spanish, does that mean that every future language that I learn, my goal should be trying to get that final certificate saying I've achieved the level of the language that I want? Bueno, muchísimas gracias por ver este video. Muchas gracias por apoyar el canal, por dejar sus comentarios abajo del video. Déjenme saber qué piensan ustedes about all of this. Y sí, muchas gracias y nos vemos.